us to talk some politics, and today my special guest is Samuel Koku Anyidoho. I bet you didn't know he was called Samuel, huh? You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Gifty.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Where did you discover the Samuel name from?
Well, I just discovered it.
Is that how
Samuel. So how come we don't know about Samuel as part of your name?
Oh, those I schooled with from Kotoka Primary School in Burma Camp, secondary school. Quite a few people know I'm called Samuel. But the full name is Samuel Koku Anyidoho. So it's SSK.
I see, Samuel Koku
Yes, or SK.
Anyidoho.
Yes.
Now I'll call you Anyidoho.
Well, no problem.
That's right.
I actually have a daughter called Sichope.
I see.
Yes.
Talking about daughters, let's talk about you. Who is Koku Anyidoho? A lot of people have known you to be that loud mouth, if you don't mind me using that expression, loud mouth politician who is always saying things that people find difficult to say. Who really are you?
Well, thank you, Gifty. Well, I'm Ghanaian. I was born to now retired Major General Henry Koku Anyidoho, a celebrated general of the Ghana Armed Forces, and then the late Mercy Ablami Vomao Anyidoho, but made in Chaga from Anyako. I was born at the 37 Military Hospital.
Really?
Yes. Grew up in Burma Camp.
So you're a barracks boy?
Yes. I grew up in Burma Camp. In fact, I think we began in Drake Avenue.
Okay.
In airport residential area. You know, the military has some, bungalows there for military officers.
Okay.
Yeah, Drake Avenue, just around the National Service Secretariat. So I think that's where we began. Then we moved to Burma Camp proper, Labadi Villas, number 51 Labadi Villas. I remember number 51 Labadi Villas very much. That's where it all happened.
Okay.
Growing up there with all the people and playing the chaskele, alikoto and the dikos and the socks ball and countess ball and all those things. It was in Labadi Villas. And let's say I'm the third of 7 siblings.
Okay.
I have 2 eldest brothers, Charles and Kafu. Then there's Koku, that's me. Then there's Koshi. Then there's Mause, who's our only sister. And then there's Timo. And then after Timo, there's James.
Okay.
So there's 7 of us, so 6 boys and 1 girl. And like I said, Burma Camp is where it all happened for us. And I really remember those Burma Camp days, and I cherish those moments. Kotoka Primary School. In fact, my batch actually are the real beginners of Kotoka Primary School, in the sense that my batch entered KG1 first in Kotoka Primary School. What
you speak so fondly of this place. What is it?
Oh, we had this fantastic headmistress. She's gone to glory. We used to call her Madame. Miss Patricia Tamakolo. Oh, with her green beetle. And she really gave us good training in those days.
I see.
When it was in vogue, you know, to cane and spank. We got a lot of it.
You must have a lot. You must have had a lot or received a lot of those canings, because you look like a pretty stubborn person.
I would say stubborn, but much more pranky.
Ah.
Much more pranky than stubborn. I wake up to authority. I don't like breaking rules, but I love the pranky side of life.
I see. So from primary school, you know, from the primary school days as a barracks boy and everything, tell us about your teenage lives, when you are now beginning to get into
teenage life. Beginning, of course, I belong to the Evangelical Presbyterian Faith, EP Church, and so that's where my faith is, in the Evangelical Presbyterian Church. Growing up in the teenage days, I remember in Burma Camp still. In our home, we were boys. Like I said, we had only one sister, Mause. And once we were piping into teenagehood, the old man, as we used to call him, decided that, look, no more houseboys. And so we had to dig into doing the houseboy jobs.
Since you came up from a very privileged background, your parents were well-to-do.
It's not about well-to-do, but I think that we didn't lack. The old man was in the military. The military was taking care of its own. My old lady was a nurse at 37 Hospital. You had uncles, so we didn't lack. but we were not spoiled and pampered. That's what I'm saying, that once we were piping into teenagehood, the old man or Papa has to call him cut out house boys. And so we had to begin to do the jobs of the house boys.
What was your chore?
Mine basically, beginning even before teenagehood, was to sweep the goat pen.
Oh, your father liked to keep goats.
Although we had goats, we had birds, we also had cats.
That sounds like my grandmother. And she talks to them sometimes.
We had cats, then we moved into rabbits and guinea pigs at some point in time. We had pigeons also at some point in time. So it was a potpourri of things that we had.
So you swept the goat's pen?
Yeah, goat's pen, and took care of the pen. Then I had to sweep the hall also, the carpet. And apparently I used to be a master sweeper, so I had to do that. Then my elder brother Charles used to do the ironing of the military uniform.
I see.
And the polishing of the boots. And those days they used to wear OG, that's the olive green. And you had to starch it and do all the designs in the back. And your Sunday afternoons were gone, because even ironing just one OG is like 3 hours with the starch and having to use the sponge to sponge the starch uniform and having to get a towel. Then when Charles went to secondary school, some of us had to take over and you had to shine the boots.
Your father must be a hard man, was he?
Oh yeah, it was tough. It was tough. It was tough. He wasn't wicked, no, but it was tough.
You won't have your way.
Certainly you won't have your way. And we had farms. One in Tinkong, that's on the Kofoedia Road, just before Kofoedia. Then we had one in Sawom. Sorry, Pokwasi.
Okay.
Which is now, those places are now no more farmlands. They are now residential areas.
Yeah.
And so we spend a lot of our afternoons, especially Pokwasi, when we were on holidays on the farm, and it was cutlass and hoe.
I see.
And so you didn't have the time to really party, blah blah blah, and all those things.
But I'm sure you did some.
Oh no, we did. Of course we did some, but it was like that. And because there was no sister among us,
it was a boys' thing.
We had to pan fufu, we had to cook akple. I think maybe even as late as Form 3 in secondary school, I used to carry corn on my head and go and grind either at Pawine Junction or at what do you call it? In the barracks in Burma camp. Now we're talking about a 15-year-old boy when I should be spotting some young girls in the area and wanting to see how I had to go and grind corn. But we didn't learn, we were not given the opportunity to learn how to drive even early.
Okay.
So that's how it was. I mean, it was like you still had to climb the ropes at all points in time.
Speaking of girls, though, how many did you have when you were young?
Oh no, those ones, yeah. I remember in primary school writing some love letter, and I laughed, don't tell anybody.
We need that letter to scan it.
Alarm blew during what do you call it? Afternoon classes. Oh, it was ooh.
So you wrote a letter to someone and
to somebody. I'm not going to mention her name. And I placed it.
I placed it.
After Legon, I haven't seen her again.
What did you write in the letter?
Can I really remember?
The first lines, at least.
You know, I was so, you know, small boys, you think you are smart. So you write the letter and you don't write your name. But you describe where you live and your house number.
So I guess it was
obviously you.
I see.
So it was interesting anyway.
How did you become a politician?
How did I become a politician? I guess I've always been a politician. I used to grow up reading. I had a voracious appetite for reading. I read all the Hadley Chases. I read the Robert Ludlums. I read the Sidney Sheldons, and I used to watch a lot of what do you call it? Movies. I didn't like Star Wars and blah blah blah. I liked more of the, what do you call them?
Investigative
Thank you, stuff, and then
political.
The movies based on real life stories or on novels.
Okay.
You know, so I did that a lot, and I started reading the newspapers too very early. And I remember in those days when we had only Radio 1, GBC, it was only GBC Radio 1. You had a program called Newsreel. I don't know whether they still do it. And then it was more of current affairs.
Okay.
And then I used to love What Do You Know also as well. I was really addicted to, even today, just yesterday, Sunday, I still watched Daniel Afariebo on What Do You Know. So I think that's how I grew up. I grew up with a lot of that.
Political consciousness.
Inquisitive brain.
Okay.
And then also, I lived through the events of May 15th, June 4th. I lived through June 4th,
Okay.
May 15th in Burma Camp, growing up in Burma Camp. All the mortars that were being shelled, the Air Force jets that were, in the skies. We had to look for our siblings and run from school, get back home, and all the songs, Panam, pa 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 Panam, pa 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 Panam, pa 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 pam, pa 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 pam 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 pam. I mean, and there was June 4th. Jerry Rawlings came onto the scene. I could still recollect standing on the balcony in Kotuka Primary School, just looking at Nicholson Park and seeing Jerry Rawlings bare-chested on his mohawk, surrounded by all these men, ready for action. Then, of course, came 31st. So I lived through those moments.
So those are the key moments you would say
those,
that
yes, because
define
yes,
your
because I can only talk about pre-independence from what I have gathered, from the books and from the footages.
But these were moments.
These were moments that we lived through. May 15th.
How did that make you a politician then?
I think having lived through those moments, and I recall when there was a call for majors and above, because that time the old man was a major, majors and above to report at LWAC, or Flagstaff House, as it were. You're not too sure your father was going to come back home. And it was just me and my eldest brother Charles at the time in Labadi Villas, and those moments, those thrilling moments where you heard so many things. Some went, they didn't come back.
So there's a lot of fear.
Exactly, trepidation. And then came 31st and all those things. But you look back. Your
father was finally brought back home.
Oh yeah, he came back home. And I recall how a number of his colleagues just dropped, using the military language, they dropped the uniform because of what they went through. They couldn't take it any longer.
They couldn't continue being
No. I mean, you have other ranks virtually pointing guns at officers and maltreating and all kinds. But that's a revolution for you. It comes with the moment, and you need to be strong and solid. Not to take anything away from those who drop their uniform, no. But subsequently, when having a chat with the old man and why he didn't drop the uniform at the time, he said, look, a young village boy from Tanyigbe, and I joined the military as a private soldier. He joined the military as a private soldier anyway, just for the records, and made it to the rank of a major general. And he didn't say I was going to go back home and tell people that because there was a revolution, I dropped the uniform. And he kept giving credit to one colleague of his, Colonel Seidu Ayuma, may his soul rest in peace, who came up and said, like, Anyi, that was his pet name. My father would call him Seidu, when he would call my father Anyi, which is a short form of Anyidoho. So like, Anyi, where are you going? We have nowhere to go. I'm from Boku, you are from Tanyigbe, where are you going? Let's stay here. So that's how they soldiered on.
But then how did that translate into changing perhaps what? Have you always wanted to be a politician?
That's what I'm saying, that those experiences of life, and of course, one cannot deny the transformation that began to take place under the revolution. I mean, there was a lot of rot in the system. By 79, when June 4th took place, by 81, I mean, Gifty, there was a lot of rot in the system. Everything, nothing was working.
I want to get the connection between what was happening then and your political
career.
You
are looking at, I'm giving you the foundation blocks.
Okay.
But then in secondary school, you are also doing a lot of secondary school politics. But it was in Legon, in university. I entered Legon in 1990 and got out in 1993. Now that period was defining for Ghana's politics, because in 1992 we were entering the 4th Republican dispensation, and we were students at the time on campus. So having read all the literature on student politics and agitation and the Nkrumah era and the CPP brand, whatever you call them. It was our time, our moment to enjoy politics of being in a tertiary institution. Okay. And so we did things, the looters, the movements, and I remember it was one occasion that had to do with the introduction of student loans. Mm-hmm. And that's when they were going to finally remove our feeding grants at the universities, take away our coupons and everything from us, and then get us to start taking student loans. And those were the days when we went on the front of the student movement. And we led agitations.
Against it?
Oh, there was a period where about 1 week we were on campus and would not go for lectures, and we were just burning tires and causing confusion, blocking traffic at the Legon Junction, burning tires. I mean, all kinds of things. The
government let you go?
That's what I'm coming to. So I think the government just got tired. And if I'm not lying, Peter Nafuri was then the IGP under President Rawlings. And you know, we used to enjoy this immunity on campus where you needed the external security agencies needed permission to enter our campuses. Okay. So we continue to remain under the illusion that nobody will give them permission to break onto the campuses. So we do the things outside, then we run back into the campus, and then we think that actually nobody's coming here. They had enough of us, and they broke in one mid-morning. They really gave us a good hiding. I mean, I was whipped well.
On your butts?
Everywhere they could find. Okay. And not me alone, quite a number of us. That was when, unfortunately, there was this incident of the shooting of an IPS lady. Vida, I remember the first name, Vida something. She was, because it was Legon, IPS, almost all the tertiary institutions that had gotten wild and were just, as it were, having our student moments.
So she died?
She didn't die. The government actually had to airlift her to the UK for medical treatment. Vida Yeboah, I think that's the name, if I'm not lying. And that incident was what actually brought Hawa Yakubu into the limelight. Okay. Because I think she had then just entered Parliament as an independent. Okay. And when she took the floor to comment on what the security agencies had done, she was countering the comments of a certain Kwame Jewuchem. And don't forget that in this period, MPP had boycotted Parliament. Okay. So it was a one-sided Parliament. The NDC virtually controlled Parliament with Hawa Yakubu as an independent voice. So the MPP people were operating on the sidelines. They were not in Parliament. So that's how Hawa Yakubu broke in to counter a statement that the late Kwame Jewuchem, who was an NDC MP, had made in support of what the security forces did to the students. And in her submission, she really was eloquent and she was solid on her points. And that's how she became known as Iron Lady. Of course, subsequently, the MPP sucked her into their fold, as they normally do when they can't find people, then they go around looking for.
Well, that's what any political party would do, isn't it? You know, but what then attracted you to the NDC? Good
question. So, with all the student agitation, a lot of my, and it's a group thing then on campus. So people will think that, take it for granted that because you are fighting the Rawlings administration, there's no way you should be NDC. But it's one thing being on that hill of knowledge, and I enjoyed my days there. In fact, there was a time where I led the student movement into Accra, made up mostly of MPP people. Yao Boabian Samoa and Co. He was a year behind me also, and Co. And so the whole thing was as if it was an MPP movement. It was I saw it as a student movement. If the MPP barged into it, that was their business. But for me, it was a student movement. So 1992, when I was casting my vote, and I remember when I cast my vote in 1992 on Legon campus.
You voted for Jerry?
Right in front of Legon Hall, that's my hall. I voted for the NDC. Because I had to go back and look at how far the NDC under Jerry Rawlings, that is PNDC, had brought Ghana. Look, like I was saying, Ghana was at a standstill. So It was one thing fighting a student movement over student loan issues.
But when it came to
and looking at
national issues,
exactly,
you thought that NDC was the right.
And that is how I've always done my politics.
Why? Why did you think they?
That's what I'm saying. That
apart from they bringing the country from wherever you think it was at the time to where it was in 1992.
What the MPP was not giving us any alternative. In fact, in Legon, the songs they were singing, yeah GMI, yeah GMI, yeah GMI, yeah GMI, yeah GMI, yeah GMI, yempe, pampamba, yempe, something. There was a very nasty thing they put there to describe Jerry Rawlings. You understand?
Yeah.
What made Ghana yours? Ghana cannot belong to you. So the whole Akanization and the bigotry of the whole thing just said, look, let me look at the larger picture. Yes, we are friends on campus. We can do our campus thing.
But for you, it wasn't more of a feeling like, so Jerry Rawlings is from the Volta region, his mom is from the Volta region. It wasn't a thing.
It was like I'm saying, it was how I grew up seeing Ghana Armed Forces virtually on his knees.
Okay.
And he moving Ghana Armed Forces back to a certain level, high level of respectability.
Never mind that they beat you up.
The police.
I mean, the government at the time.
That was student agitation. That was student agitation. And maybe we got what we deserve. Because we're overdoing it. I mean, burning tires and blocking traffic and breaking windscreens and please.
So fast forward, you became a part of the NDC. You loved the NDC.
So in 1992, I voted NDC. In 1996, I was not in Ghana. I was out in the UK pursuing a master's degree. So I didn't vote in 1996. I came back and I voted in 2000. Yes, again, for the NDC, but unfortunately we lost the 1992 election. Sorry, 2000 election.
At this time, you must have had some kind of connection that is beyond just voting for the NDC.
The connection actually began even in those 92, 93 days, apart from the student thing. I was still dealing with certain people and certain personalities who had strong leanings with the NDC.
Who are they?
The NDC, quite a number of them. And so you realize that my natural orientation has been to be on the left of the political divide, not to be on the right. Even when we were doing the student movement, within that, some of us were doing movement for freedom and justice, June 4th movement. We were meeting at E9. Kwesi Pratt and Co will come, Akrisi Sapon and Co and Co will meet there. And that was a leftist movement that was agitating for democracy. So we wanted democracy, yes, but I would always remain on the left of the political divide. I respected Professor Dubois as a person because he helped break the culture of silence. And incidentally, his son, two of his sons, were my housemates in Achimota School.
But yet you felt drawn to the NDC.
Chris and Charles. For Charles was my mate. Chris was a year behind us, and Charles is one of the deputy finance ministers now. Charles Edubois and Ken Oforiatta. So yes, I might have had a personal liking for Edubois because I knew his children.
And not for the party?
No, not for the party, no.
You never liked the NPP?
That's what I'm saying. I don't hate them. I'm saying that my natural orientation, I keep saying that if I was born in the CPP days, I would have been CPP.
I see.
It's a gene that I think I was born with. I don't like the right of politics. Look, why should I like a government that thinks in a pigeonhole? And then again, for me, Jerry Rawlings and the near statelessness of Ghana and what he did, I didn't see why we shouldn't allow him to continue to do what he was doing. Then more so in 1996, when he made President Mills, or Professor Mills, his running mate.
How close were you to Professor Mills at the time?
Professor Mills at that time, it was more of a bit of a long pole because I knew him in Legon. I was not in his faculty though, but I knew him in those days because he was the president of the Amalgamated Sports Association in Legon. And I was in Legon Hall, and I was also into sports and stuff like that. So from that angle, we knew ourselves. But those who were in his faculty used to speak highly of him. And of course, when he became vice president, my father, who was then in charge of the Northern Command, Kumasi and beyond, a few times spoke highly of the vice president in his interactions with him. And we got to know ourselves at a different level, and the chemistry was natural. So when he became president, running mate, flag bearer,
Okay.
in 2000, and he lost in 2001. Then a group of us young guys decided to form the Youth Forum. Myself, well, the likes of Fifi Kwete, Haruna Idrisu, Bismarck Agbemanule, Inusa Fuseni, Baba Jamal, Ludwig Ngoje, quite a number of us, the late Jijote, the late Utache, people, John Adams and co. And it was solely to keep the Atamil's agenda going.
So at this point, you had been approached, I'm thinking, I've been personally involved in student activism. At this point, you must have been approached.
I've been approached, yes.
National politics.
We had been approached, yes. That's how even come I got into Koku
So
Hill.
the NDC approached you first?
Well, let me just say that I approached the NDC.
Okay.
You understand, before we lost the election. But once we lost, people needed to be spotted. And there was a lot that I was doing behind the scenes. I won't tell you, maybe I'll tell you in secret, but not in open. Nothing subversive,
So
though.
you can say just one or two of them.
Nothing subversive, though. But a lot of behind the scenes things that we used to do just to help the cause. So
Like,
people.
I mean, the less dangerous ones. Tell me the less dangerous.
I need nothing dangerous.
Okay, so then it wouldn't be hard to say. So what were some of the things you were doing, in the background?
We used to support. I used to work in the bank those days. I began off, when I came from the UK, I began off with UNHCR, United Nations High Commission for Refugees, here in Ghana. In fact, I was the lead person from UNHCR that helped birth the first set of Sierra Leonean refugees when the civil war broke out there. And I was also part of the group that helped transport the first batch of voluntary persons, Liberians, who were repatriated back when we began the voluntary repatriation exercise. Thereafter, then I moved into the banking sector.
So you were supporting with
Exactly. So
financially?
exactly.
I see.
The young guys who
basically we are mobilizing young people.
Exactly, and
mobilizing money as well.
Exactly,
to
and a group of people who knew.
So let's assume.
And then I was doing a lot of writing as well.
Okay, let's assume that at this point you're already into politics full time. Were you married at the time?
At that time, no. Well, no, hold on. Yes, 2001. Yes, I was married then. Yes.
Okay, but are you married now?
Yes.
You how many kids?
I have 4.
4 kids. How many boys? How many girls?
I have 2 girls and 2 boys.
Were they happy with your involvement in politics?
That's my personal decision. Same way, they will decide to do certain things. Once it's not against the law, I cannot remote control them. That's my personal decision.
But you have to, because when people insult
they were that. In fact, at that time I had only one, and she was just barely out of the cradle.
Well, your wife was happy about it.
Well, those are questions, yes. Where it got to a point where, at the time, then she thought that, look, you need to think about your kids, and so watch. But you see, go back, play back the tapes. Listen to the interviews. I've never used abusive language. What I do is to make my point forcefully. When I'm convinced that this is the point I'm making, I make it with conviction. But of course, you are in a system where people tend to brand you a certain way. And so you have certain newspapers who are on your back on a daily basis, creating the impression that you are a beast, you are a beast, you are a beast, you are a beast. Then we got into the period of the cyberspace and the cyber world. People are paid, gifted, to sit behind their computers on a daily basis just to insult Koku Anyidoho. I mean, not me, but politicians.
Have you seen any evidence to that effect?
We know. Some people, but some of them, you know how it is like. Some people walk up to you after they get to know you and realize that, master, you are not what we think you are. I say, Charlie, we didn't know this is what we're paid to do.
So people confess.
Oh, yeah.
Who are these people?
Oh, and the cyberspace also is full of all kinds of people. You'll be surprised that there are 67, 70-year-old men out there who are using pen names and behaving like teenagers. And all they do is to put out trash.
So you think that people write things about you?
They don't know.
Negative things about you?
It's deliberate. Especially when I became spokesperson and communications person for Professor Mills in opposition.
At that time, a lot of people said you were arrogant, the way you answer questions.
I've been speaking to you for minutes now. Where's the arrogance?
Maybe it depends on the mood.
That's what I'm saying, that I make my point forcefully. And don't forget also that with President Mills, or Professor Mills, and then President Mills, I had to adopt a certain posture.
An arrogant posture?
Not an arrogant posture, a very stoic one. Now, I was dealing with a man whom I knew would never stab me in the back. I was dealing with a man who opened up to me and told me everything. So when I put my neck on the chopping board, I knew that never would I regret.
But people said that you were basically the president.
It's not true.
They said you were taking decisions, you were saying things that the president hadn't asked you to say.
It's unfair. What? Like what? The only one they will tell you is heads must roll. That's the only case that they...
But why did you make that statement though? Did the president really tell you to go say heads must roll?
He didn't have to tell me. I granted an interview to Joy FM. It must have been one of your guys. I done nothing else. So one of them. And the lights had gone off in Kumasi, Ghana Black Stars match. And then I was called. And I said, look, as far as I am concerned, this looks like a sabotage. And that we're going to look into the matter. And if anybody was found culpable, heads will roll. You can go back and go and check your archives and play. I never emphatically said anywhere that I, Koku Anyidoho, I'm going to make anybody's head roll or sack anybody. But of course, then people want to play mischief, and Koku Anyidoho thought that he went and sacked somebody. How could I sack somebody on their waves? What authority did I have? I was only the head of communication at the presidency and a spokesperson for the president.
But then you speak what the president has asked you to say.
Don't forget that I speak what the president has put out.
Wants you to say.
He has put out, and I have to lay emphasis.
Okay.
But my duty, cardinal duty, was to project and to protect the president. I operated on the principle of a double P: project and protect. Now, if you're going to sabotage the president by cutting off electricity for a football match and you look bad, I must come and protect him.
Wasn't it too early for you to assume that someone was sabotaging
the lights came on. Immediately after I spoke, the lights came on. Immediately after I spoke, the lights came on.
Do you up to now have evidence that someone deliberately tried to sabotage?
But the lights came on.
No, but
there was a committee that was set up. I don't know what happened to that report. But you see, Gifty, this game is full of, this game of politics, it's full of intrigues. I mean, when you wake up in the morning and media people, you see, what people don't know, maybe to have put out this trade secret of mine. I did my post-university national service at GBC. This was in '93, before I went out to do the master's program. Those days it was only GBC. We didn't have any other media outlet apart from GBC. So I cut my teeth there. In fact, it was in that period that Komla Dumo came, may he so rest in peace, from Nigeria, and we were all there before I left, and then he moved on in life and he made it to BBC level. Wonderful. One of my colleagues at the time there was Richmond Kilson, who is with the Today newspaper. Now, that's how I operated. So by the time...
So you relied on your
so by the time that we broke into the private media thing, I had people all over who had left GBC, and they were all over.
So they were feeding you information? And
per my nature, because I am naturally in the media, I have friends. But you see, I operate in a certain way that I can have your producer as my friend, but you won't know.
Okay.
And you can be my friend, but your producer won't know. Because I keep my friendship very secret and personal. I'm not doing it for personal gain and glory, but it's just that we are friends.
Mm.
So you plot against me, and I'll get to know.
You get to know.
So I knew that people from within our own party,
okay,
who were busy trying to destroy me in the media. I know them. I see them every day, and I just smile.
Who are they?
I will not mention their names.
Why, are you afraid?
It's not. There's no need. There's no need.
What did they have against you?
You are too close to the president, and like you said, people misconstrued my loyalty to think that I control power. I didn't control power. President Mills was president. President Mahama was vice president. There was a council of state chaired by no less a person than Professor Awuno. You had the likes of Captain Kujochi Kata in the background. You have the founder of the party, President Rollins. You have senior members like Totobi Kwachi, Kwame Nahoya, Tuaho, and all kinds of people. Who is Koku to control power?
Koku speaks for the president. Koku has asked access to the presidency.
Why not? Because I work with him.
Unfettered access to
Why
the
not?
presidency.
Because I speak for him. I must know what is going on.
So you had,
and I was in cabinet also.
so you were at a good position to control
no.
what happens.
If you have people like Martin Newman as chief of staff, Ibaku Mensah as secretary to the president, Ambassador Kanda as director of state protocol, if you know how the presidency works, and now use this opportunity to dispel something that I don't know whether this is the opportunity, but let me just say I've stomached a lot, and I just pray to God that I never blow up.
What do you mean if you say you're stomached a lot?
The intrigues, the scheming, the machinations, I have stomached a lot. But after 5 years of the passing away of President Mills, I know that I won't, because the attempt to cut one off, not because you are lazy, not because you are inefficient, but only because you are loyal to the president.
Some people thought that you were actually power drunk.
How?
Maybe from the way you spoke.
And I'm saying that I spoke only out of conviction and from knowledge, a position of knowledge.
And maybe the kinds of words you use.
What words? What you tell me?
Maybe I may not have a list of those words.
So it means that if I actually use certain words, it would have stuck in your mind, on your mind by now. There's nothing. It's just look, and let me use this opportunity. Maybe I'll use this opportunity. Then after the death of President Mills, all the attempt to bury me with him, with some vile propaganda that I used to disrespect Vice President Mahama when he was Vice President. I used to prevent him from seeing the president.
Having access to the president.
Gifty, I think that you know how the castle is. Maybe you went in the Flagstaff house. You didn't?
I was in the castle for a while though.
Okay. Look at the configuration of the castle, where the Vice President's office is and where the President's office is. There's a dedicated corridor that links the Vice President's office to the President's office. Was my office anywhere on that corridor? Now, when the Vice President moves into the President's chamber, the first person he meets is the ADC, Colonel Lawson. My office was 2 floors below. So did I have some magic potion to always know that the Vice President was moving to the President's place? So I went, put a police barrier and prevent him from seeing his boss.
Maybe not physically, but when there are certain things that have to be done. Why do you think people say?
How was it going to happen?
But why do you think people say that?
That's what I'm saying. This is part. It is President Koku was loyal to President Mills, and like you are saying, he was that close to power. President Mills is gone. Why should he be close to power again? Let's cut him off. After all, what?
So there was an attempt to cut you off completely.
Simply bury him alive. And I say, why? We know them, but it doesn't worry me. Some of them who have been bold enough to come and say, Charlie, we didn't know you. It's not that we. Look, I had a 70-something old lady who called me on phone, asked me to meet her in Osu. I met her in Osu. She wept and cried and said, Koku, no me a label. I fit the boha keke. So it was, look, but you see, from the beginning of creation, heaven has suffered violence and has suffered betrayal. That is why Lucifer was thrown out of the heavens.
But at the time that you spoke for the president,
it's also betrayal.
What was your relationship with John Mahama, then Vice President?
He was the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. All respect must go to the Vice President.
Did you accord him that respect?
Why not? Let me just go back to it. All the things that what will make me hold the Vice President's shirt? And I'm hoping that one day I'll have a one-on-one with him. And we can have this chat and know that between the two of us, we can dispel it.
So it's been 5 years now. You still haven't had a one-on-one chat with him?
No.
Why so?
I don't know.
Did you approach him? Did you try?
I'm saying that, all I'm saying is that the vile propaganda to create the wrong impression.
But did you try to dispel this notion?
There's always an opportune time.
It's not
like
yet?
I'm having today.
The opportune time is not yet?
I'm not going to hold a press conference actually. But moments like these will provide the opportunity for us to for me to tell my side of the story.
Do you know if
I have suffered a lot of pain. I will not waste about that. When even to extent a portion of your family begins to believe all the lies that are being told about you. And I'm saying that what will make me hold the neck Meanwhile,
maybe that's an extreme thing to say, but people still think that there wasn't a good relationship between you and the vice president. So the vice president is second in command to the president.
There's only one president at a time.
But the vice president is second in command.
Of course.
So when you, for example, the spokesperson for the...
my main duty was to defend the president and the presidency. Do you know the number of times, and they're talking about the presidency, and the vice president belongs to the presidency.
So it's been 5 years. It's been 5 years, and you some way somehow managed to become the deputy general secretary of the party. I mean, that transition from spokesperson to, do you think that if you hadn't become the deputy general secretary, that you would still have relevance in the NDC?
I don't know what you mean by relevance. For me, my loyalty, utmost loyalty, is to the NDC and to every leader that the NDC will produce, whether in the front line or in the back line. That is where my utmost loyalty to the party.
How did the former president feel about you becoming the deputy general secretary?
With all due respect, you would have to ask him. I don't know.
Did you? I mean, but you know, you have people. You know things. They tell you things.
I don't know. That one, they have no answer for. That one,
you have not asked.
I have no answer for that one.
But now that you're in the party, the party lost. A lot of people have described the loss as miserable, a very miserable loss. And now you are in a position. How does it feel like? Given the background to the relationship, people trying to bury you alongside the former president, and all of those things.
Let me just say that majority of the people thought otherwise.
That's why you'd lose?
No. That is why they voted for me to become deputy general secretary.
Okay.
So the few people who wanted to sink me, that is it. But you see, when you have your antenna up and you understand the vagaries of life, those things don't shake you.
Okay.
They only act as extra blocks to the foundation.
I see.
And they build you up to become a much, much better person. President Mills always told me, Koku, in this business, you must have a big heart. If you want to be a leader, you must accommodate. You will know them. But it's not always that you let them know that you know them, and you move along with them. But as a leader, you must behave like the conductor of an orchestra.
What's the relationship between you and Standebe?
Hold on. I'm not going there. I'm talking about the NDC, and I'm saying that President Mills used to say that as a leader, you need to act as the conductor of the orchestra. You must blend all the parts. The person who plays the clarinet or the violin might not necessarily be your best friend, but he's the best person to play the clarinet. But you know what? At the end of the day, it is the conductor that takes the bow and the applause. So that person playing the clarinet, whom you not like, maybe gave you the best tune. That's why you're taking the bow. Okay. So leaders take a bow, but they must put the orchestra together. That's it.
I asked about your relationship with Standebe because I'm trying to find out whether or not
I'm talking about the NDC.
About your relationship.
And I will talk about my contemporaries and leaders of the party, not about individuals. I'm not going there.
If you say your contemporaries, Standebe is not your contemporary?
I'm not answering that question.
Okay, well, let's talk about the reorganization of the party. That's been the biggest thing for you at the moment. There's a group that came up it's called the Coalition for NDC Rejuvenation. They're accusing the National Executive of masterminding a certain support for former President Mahama to become or to run for the flag bearership of the party.
The NDC has structures and recognized structures. And for me as a national officer, I have no option but to operate with the recognized structures of the party. People can form groups and owe allegiance to those groups. Nothing can stop them. It's freedom of association. But I will not respond to those groups that are not within the structure of the NDC. Otherwise, every morning when I wake up, a new group will be formed, and I have to be responding to what they say.
Okay.
So let people think what they want to think. For me, as I speak now, it's about the party structure, how we're going to finish with the registration exercise, run our branch elections, run our constituency elections, run our regional elections, and then move on to the national elections, after which we shall be dealing with issues to do with the flag bearer. Okay. But those are constitutional matters that will be dealt with by the NDC's constitution. and not by Koku Anyidoho, by the NDC's constitution as the appropriate time.
10 regional chairmen came together to put out a press release and information that they are backing the former president to go for the flag bearership. Was that right?
They did that, and I'm sure you had so many comments. I didn't comment at the time, and I'm not commenting now. I think my boss, the General Secretary, made a general comment on it, and I stand by the comment of my General Secretary. I personally am not commenting on that matter.
Is it that you are indifferent? You can't be bothered about what they did? Or?
I'm saying that the General Secretary commented. Let's stay with the commentary of the General Secretary. I'm not going into it. I'm not going to personalize the thing.
No, it's not to be. It's not to be personal.
No.
It's not to be personal. You are a national executive.
And I'm saying that the General Secretary put out a categorical opinion on the matter, and we stand by the.
What's this opinion?
Well, you have to Google and find the opinion.
No, but this is. I mean, if I'm a party person listening to you as a Deputy General Secretary, I expect more.
Well,
I expect more.
Well, on this occasion, I'm sorry to disappoint. I'm not commenting on this matter. Various positions have been espoused on the matter. I think that matter has been put to rest, and we are moving on. That's it. Because after all, the former president, His Excellency President Mahama, put out a statement in the immediate aftermath of the statement that emanated from the 10 regional chairmen, didn't he? So let's hold on to the statement of President Mahama and move on as a party.
I see. The reorganization plan. Some have said that the Kwesi Botchwey reports, it's not being implemented as it should.
Oh, I don't think that they are being fair to us. You see, what those people are expecting is that we should just come out and throw the whole report out in the open. And so no matter what we do, they will not be satisfied. But don't forget that you people call it the Kwesi Botchwey Committee. Its technical and official name is the Elections Review Committee, okay. ERC. That's what's in the records of the NDC. But to the extent that the media has christened it Kwesi Botchwey Committee, and it doesn't affect the soul and the spirit of the party, we have no problem with it. So let me use your balance. So the KBC, the Kwesi Botchwey KBR, or KBC, Kwesi Botchwey Committee, was set up by NEC, the National Executive Committee. We gave them their terms of reference. So they finished their work and they came back to us with their report. NEC accepted it. And the same NEC decided that we will stick to the recommendations that the committee will put out in the open per our approval. The bulk of it remains an internal document. You see, it's like going to the hospital and getting your doctor. So in this case, let's say Kwesi Botchwey and Co. So we went to the hospital, which is the election, and we lost. And we went and saw the doctor. The doctor says we're going to go to the lab for a lab test. So we've gone and done our lab test via the Kwesi Botchwey Committee. And they brought the report back to the doctor. The doctor, why should the doctor go and put the lab report out in the open? It's confidential.
But you kept saying we, and we means that it's a party, and you have a lot of people, those on the grassroots, everybody is the we.
Yes.
Now the we want to know what is wrong with me. You are not giving them the opportunity to know what is wrong with them.
The we voted NEC into power. So NEC derives its main power from the we. The report emanates from the we. It was generated from the grassroots. Don't forget. So they know what they told the committee. Now what the we want is that, to the extent that their elected representatives begin to address their concerns, then they know that the committee's report is being implemented.
Isn't it justified for them to ask whether or not what they told the committee is well represented in the report? And for that matter, they need to see the report to confirm.
Well, once we are doing what they expect of us, they will know that they are, for example, a major issue was the biometric register. That we complained a lot about, that they didn't want it. So NEC has taken a decision, and we are retooling and re-engineering the process. And we happy down there. That's what it is. Now let me tell you, one of the major reasons why we will not and we shall not put out the report is because it is so detailed and even recommends strategies for winning 2020. Why should we put out strategies for winning 2020? Okay. Now, over 1 million of our supporters didn't vote for us.
Yeah.
Am I lying? And they've told us why they didn't vote for us. Why should we come and tell the whole world why our people didn't vote for us? We should keep it as a strategy. And now they are telling us that if you do X, Y, Z, we can win 2020.
So why don't you give them a part of it and leave the rest?
I'm saying they know what they have told us. And they want us to do according to their their wishes, not their bidding. Their wishes.
I've spoken to a Koku Anyidoho, for example, and he says that he thinks that it is very wrong. And here's a person who wants to be flag bearer of the party. He's made that quite clear in no uncertain terms. He says he thinks that it's very wrong that the national executive, including your very good self, have kept the report under lock and key.
It's not our personal decision. It's the decision of NEC. And I'm saying that if we're elected executive, you have no option. You see, when you are not an elected executive, and that's it where you are a free atom, I'm sure you can say, now, for example, people say, you Koku, why are you not supporting X person?
Who is X?
We have so many of them who are out there. I'm just giving you, I'm giving an example.
Okay.
That you say you're not supporting X person, or for example, let me use you, you're not supporting Gifty.
Gifty is not contesting.
But during President Mills' time, during the primaries, you were a spokesperson for President Professor Mills at the time, when he was contesting Spiogabra, Eddie Annan, and Alhaji Muhammad Idrisu. Today you say you won't support anybody. It's because you have a bias. I say, you see, you're getting it wrong. When I was with President, let's say, Professor Mills, I was not an elected national officer. So the individuals who are coalescing around certain personalities now, who are not national officers,
they are free to do so.
You can't blame them.
But the original officers who have done so.
Well, that is why we are saying that the General Secretary has spoken to that effect, because it's a constitution. And don't forget that at the national level, has the General Secretary endorsed anybody? Has the National Chairman endorsed anybody?
But the regional chairman, that matters.
Fine.
There are people who
but I'm saying that has the chairman endorsed anybody?
The Constitution frowns on that, on what they've done.
So
the
NDC
Constitution frowns on that.
That's why I'm saying that that matter has been dusted and put somewhere. We will not resurrect it. But I'm just giving you the general structure. So today, as a Deputy General Secretary, my job is to make sure that I support my colleagues, support the party. Gifty, if there's no party,
there's no you.
Exactly.
Okay. You're still watching my conversation with Koku Anyidoho.
The party is the most important thing.
Just so you know, his full name is Samuel Koku Anyidoho. And we've been talking his life, how he got into politics, and his role as then a spokesperson for President Mills. It's a thing that people have, for which people have tagged him arrogant. He said he's not arrogant. We've been talking generally about the NDC and about the reorganization process they're in or they're on at the moment. We'll be moving out. I'll be taking your thoughts on the NPP administration so far. Maybe I know what to expect, but but I will assume that today you will say something different from what we usually expect. But within the NDC, there are a lot of people, well, not a lot though, but a few names have come up for flag bearership. Spiogabra, Professor Joshua Alabi, Alban Bagbin, I'm not sure. I heard at a point he's withdrawn. Haruna Idrisu, of course, also we had, I mean, it was a joke some way, somehow. But some of these names have come out. Sylvester Mensah is out there as well. What do you make of all of these?
They are Ghanaians. At least they are not Togolese, as Baumia will make people believe that NDC is made up of Togolese.
Why don't you just leave Baumia out of NDC and say what you want to say? Okay.
They are Ghanaians, and they are bona fide members of the NDC. They've served the NDC in various capacities. Nothing stops them from declaring their intentions. Nothing stops them.
So it's fine. Well, how does the national executive body take?
I'm saying that until forms are sold and people pick up forms, go through the processes, present the forms, and they are accepted by national executive, those declarations remain declarations. And to the extent that they are not breaking any rule, those are declarations.
Who are you for? Not that I expect you to answer. But that's...
I'm for the NDC.
Yeah, for the NDC.
Party first.
Assuming you were not national executive, who would you, you know,
No,
I mean, we all have our biases.
You are asking me to conjecture
no,
and orbit in realms
assuming
of
all of these names were on the table and they're taking forms, picked up forms, who would you have, you know, gone for?
I'm sure if I was not a national executive, maybe they would have approached me. And depending on the approach and the reasons for the approach, I would decide to support somebody.
What is that? What is the approach here?
No, if I was not a national executive, maybe they will approach you. Look, let me tell you, President Mills. Oops.
He approached you, sorry.
Yeah, President Mills called me on phone, one-on-one, one early morning, when I was with the bank. Koku, I want you to work for me.
So that's how it worked. So if any of them...
It's like in Christendom. When you have a calling, your loyalty is to Jesus the Christ and to Yahweh.
So if any of them should approach you...
That's why I'm saying that at that time, I was not a national executive.
Not a national executive.
And somebody called me, somebody identified something in me. It was a calling. And he called me. He held me by the work. I said, wow. At that time, myself, I was getting tired.
Of politics?
Oh no, of the banking sector. It was not becoming, it was too monotonous.
Okay.
And I don't think I love too much monotony in my life.
So it was a timely call? It
was a timely call. And so when he called me that morning and said, Koku, I want you to work for me, I said, oh my God, you've heard my prayers. Of all these millions of Ghanaians, he wants me to work for him. And I'm sure he did same for Nilante and others that he called. So the whole group that worked for him. Go Gifty, when a man calls you and identifies your talent and your strength.
It must feel great, right?
And you must be loyal to him.
Okay, so if Professor Mills were to be alive, you spoke for him for a very long time, and you've been close to this man. If he was to be alive, which of these people do you think he would have chosen if he had the opportunity to do so?
President Mills would have wished the best for the NDC. That's what I wish for the NDC. I want us to come back in 2020. Whoever the party decides must lead the NDC into 2020. I, Koku Anyidoho, I pledge my support for that person. Something like that.
Okay.
But for now, it's as if me alone, my vote will make a difference to who becomes leader of the NDC.
And that's why
it is unfortunate.
Not necessarily. That's why the people have concerns, for example, about the unity walk, the NDC unity walk. They think that almost all the time, former President Mahama is allowed to speak, and they think that it's becoming a way of promoting him of sort, because there's pressure on him, apparently we've heard, to go for the flag bearership.
No, you see, whether facts are facts, and that's me, I speak to the facts. President Mahama has been leader of the NDC before. Is that not it? He's the immediate past leader of the NDC. He's the immediate past president of the Republic of Ghana.
Right.
No matter what people say, he's held those key positions. And so forever in his life, those positions will leverage him somewhere along the line. You understand? And if he derives leverage or benefit from that leveraging, you can't blame him. You can't blame him for it.
But if he is contemplating coming as a flag bearer, that should certainly worry you, to give him a platform that others perhaps don't
put words in my mouth.
Not you.
No.
I'm talking about the national executive body.
No, I'm saying that why? As many people as who want to contest can contest. But to do with the unity works, and you are saying that he's given the opportunity to speak, he's the former president of the Republic of Ghana.
So there's nothing you can do about that?
What? Can you stop it? You can't stop it. He will certainly obviously leverage himself on what positions he has held in the past.
Okay.
And so people also must learn to leverage themselves on whatever positions they hold now, whatever positions they've held in the past. Nobody will stop you. I mean, if you've been some ambassador before, that's what you leverage yourself on.
Okay. Now let's wrap up our conversation with your thoughts on the NPP's administration. It's been, well, almost a year now. They've been doing some work. They said a lot of things about what they've done. Free SHS. They say the economy has stabilized better than it was at your time, and a few social intervention policies. What are your thoughts generally of the work of the NPP?
Well, you can't take anything away from the fact that Nana Akufo-Addo is the president of the Republic of Ghana. He's the president, you can't stop him from being a president, and we shall give him all the reverence and the deference we ought to give a sitting president of the Republic of Ghana. That one, we dare not, or I dare not, take it away from him. But in terms of his governance style, that's where there's a lot of queasiness for me. I don't think he's cutting any good image for himself with this family, friends, and cronies administration. It stinks, as far as I'm concerned.
Just because someone is called Adudankwa,
please,
doesn't necessarily mean they're related to him.
It's the extent to which you poke it into our faces and our eyes. When you have Ken Ofori-Atta go to Parliament, and before he reads budget, must be talking about his ancestry. It's annoying.
Why is it annoying to you?
Why? Should come and tell us practical problems and stop this Dankwa Ofori-Atta thing.
How long does it take to do that?
Please,
just a few seconds?
It is annoying. The Ghana does not belong to the Ofori-Attas and the Dankwas.
Did he say that? He didn't say that.
He can Ofori-Atta. When I talk about the friends, cronies, and this is when I come in, and I come in with a push, because look, Ken Ofori-Atta has surrounded himself in the financial sector with all his data bank cronies.
But if you have worked with people...
It is Kelly Gajekpo, it is Yofi Grant, it is, what the other one, what was the other one's name? Reverend Obami Tete, it is Dela Asime, it is Comfort Okran, blah, 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 blah.
If you have worked with people and you know their competence, what's wrong with working with them?
Do you know how corruption begins? It begins with cronyism. Corruption begins with cronyism.
What do you think he has done wrong?
I know for a fact, people who are being pushed out of jobs because you don't belong to us. It's no longer about being a Ghanaian any longer. You must belong to us and belong to the inner sect, or else we cannot work with you. So even if you have a government sector employment, they are literally pushing you out.
So
if you don't go, they just put you on ice and leave you in the freezer to cake.
You think that's what's happening? What evidence do you have?
I won't put it out. So as we speak now,
but you have evidence and you don't want to put it out.
Oh,
so
at the right time.
What will be the right time? 2020?
No, 2020. Why?
During the election?
It's not everything. It's not everything that even look. The people who are suffering this in the security agencies, in the civil service, where people are being sidelined just because of their surnames, and they don't belong to the sect. So, look.
Is that a thing happening
Somebody should tell Ken Ofori-Atta that if he wants to do, if he's planning to become president of the Republic of Ghana with this kind of attitude, because he's planning to take over from Akufo-Addo as leader of the MPP, tell him that he's just wasting his time. He won't become president of Ghana.
Oh
yes.
That's information
As for Dr. Baumia, he's just a pawn in their chess game.
What do you say so?
Oh, I'm telling you, I'm a politician.
So what evidence do you have? I mean, otherwise these are like, just someone in opposition just saying things bad about the government.
I am telling you that Dr.
Yes, but we need something more.
Is a pawn in their chess game.
We need something more. I mean, you have kept your reports under lock and key.
You know there's something more. Have you noticed that when anytime Ken Ofori-Atta is going to read the budget, Baumia is literally carrying his briefcase into the chamber of parliament?
He's there to support. He's the head of the economic team. Baumia is the leader of the economic team. So he's
Vice President of the Republic of Ghana.
What's wrong with that?
You should be carrying the bag of your finance minister.
Does he carry the bag? The finance minister carries the bag himself. He just goes to sit there.
He's literally carrying. What kind of support? He has got no job.
So you think that the NPP is grooming Ken Ofori-Atta to become president?
You watch that space, but that would be the final nail in the coffin of the Achim Mafia. So then they will go and rest, whether in peace or not, I don't know.
How do you mean with that?
They are singing their swan song into political oblivion. That cabal.
How would you react if someone says that? Listen to someone in opposition just speaking with bitterness.
I know what I'm talking about.
You know what you're talking about.
Even this whole attempt to rewrite Ghana's history and impose Dankwa on us as the doyen of Ghana politics already is dealing them a hefty blow. They don't know.
What kind of blow?
This Achim group of people. Look, Gifty, Ghana belongs to all of us. It's good to have your family and your friends and no problem. But when you are doing it, why didn't they accuse President Mahama? When President Mahama was not doing anything compared to what they are doing. Compared to what they are doing. President Mahama was doing nothing compared to what they are doing. Go to the Flagstaff House and go and see what is going on there.
What's going on there?
Oh, blimey.
What's going on there? That's so different from what was going on when.
Oh, you were okay. You were there, so maybe you know what was going on. I don't know.
No, I mean I don't know. I'm asking.
You were there. Maybe I wasn't there, so you know what was going on there.
No, it's your party.
Ah, well.
It's your party that was in government.
Well, I am saying that from what I know.
Apart from the family and friend and the chronism that you're accusing them of.
The inconsistency and the failure in their policies. You see.
The failure in their policies.
The governance is not an alligator race. Governance. It's not an alligator race. You need a lot of caution.
Why do you think they have failed? It's just a year though.
They are failing in the speed and the rush with which they are attempting to implement all their policies overnight. How do you do that? So I've just heard this afternoon teacher trainees who were promised allowances. The allowances are not going. In the health training sector, some discrimination going on there. The students of hygiene are not getting theirs. Are they not part of the health assistant trainees? On the area of free HHS, Charles just came out saying that, look, the 20% that was allocated to them is not enough. We are seeing footages, and on Joy News, Joy Midday News, on radio, on television, we hear the features, we see the clips. Children are suffering. They are sleeping in the open. When we were busy eliminating schools under trees, they are now introducing eating and feeding under trees. Now we are hearing, we're talking about arrogance. You want to look for arrogance, go and look for Napoleon, whatever his name is, Matthew Puku Prempeh. And he has the effrontery and the audacity to be insulting, is what, Nana Poku?
Nana Poku, yeah.
This is the first time I'm hearing it.
Yeah.
So that's his house name.
You think he's arrogant?
Oh yeah? You are looking for a personification of arrogance? Go look for Napu. He has the effrontery to be insulting Professor Jena Nopuku Ajima. After all the hard work that we did, if nothing at all, we shall credit her and the John Mahama administration for the hefty infrastructure in the by way of the community-based secondary schools.
Do you see anything good in the NPP administration so far?
What I see good is that God is making us see them for who they are. So that next time we take a decision, we will not give them power again.
Essentially, you don't see anything good.
That's the functional aspect of their presence. From a sociologically functionalist theory perspective, the good thing about their coming is that it has allowed them to compare notes. But in terms of policy and what they will leave for Ghana as solid legacies, if the way they have begun is anything to talk to, to look at, then I don't see what heavy things are going to leave for us in 4 years, apart from a failed educational system, an economy that is going to hit an iceberg.
And this is you speaking as a Ghanaian, not as a politician per se. Well,
I'm sorry that I have to speak. I'm not praying doom upon the nation, but these are the real facts. When you look at the recent budget, the amount of money that has been voted for the presidency alone. What is happening at that presidency that they must vote that huge amount? What is going on there? So far, they're not paying contractors. Then you talk about the issue.
They said they're paying them. For example,
they say they're going to use $200 million to digitize the economy. Now you tell me, even this one that Bawumia did, all the noise and all the corruption surrounding it, that so-called house address system, how does it benefit the farmer in Tanyigbe? How does it benefit the fisherman in Anyako?
So basically you don't see anything good.
No, you tell me. How does it benefit the cocoa farmer somewhere in Sefia Sankragwa?
You don't see anything good.
How does it affect the fisherman in Buipe, the farmer in nothing? Now we're going to spend $200 million on some so-called digitization of the economy. You know what? That is a conduit for stealing, white-collar crime. Because they will get 3-4 IT firms that belong to themselves and their cronies and give them huge contracts like they did with this GPS thing. Something that should cost less than $50,000. They paid close to $3 million for it. That spread pocket.
So essentially a year. It's been a year on of the NPP administration. You don't see anything good.
Invisible forces, Delta forces, crime on the loose.
You don't see anything good. There's nothing you can say, pinpoint and say, well, this is good at least. Nothing.
I may need some eye drop to clear something off my eye to see something good about this government.
Right. We're wrapping up this conversation. So it's been very interesting having you.
But I think that for us as Ghanaians and as a nation, we must once again applaud ourselves for being on a certain pedestal when it comes to democracy. So to the extent that the MPP is helping us achieve that level of democracy, no matter how they hit an iceberg as a government, at least our democracy is going, but at a very high price.
Okay. How do you want people to remember you, Koku Anyidoho? Apart from this thoughts of you being arrogant, someone who speaks, you know, uses words that could have been, you know, uses words to say things in which
yes, you see, because
people think could have been said differently.
Because I'm a student of language. And it's not a crime for me to command language.
So how do you want Ghanaians to remember you?
For me, I wake up every day and I walk around and I get people who are coming up to me and say, oh, Koku, thank you. We now understand you. We didn't understand you before. I'm hoping that more Ghanaians will understand me. And then when I'm remembered one day, the understanding will be great and deep. And the realization will be that here was somebody who just came to serve his God and his country. He might have done it in very interesting ways.
At least you admit that it's interesting ways, the way you behave, or the way you do your things.
Look, you know, when I meet people who don't know me, and they get to know me for who I am, and they're like, wow, we didn't notice how simple and down to earth you are. I'm excited because then those ones become like Paul.
They've seen the light.
It became for one bantam no. Hey, Paul one bantam no. It hurts though when people don't know you and they try to destroy you. You know, just for what is the reason? Yes, we are not perfect human beings. We'll make our mistakes. Why not? But when there's a deliberate conspiracy to destroy, just because of your loyalty to a certain president.
You think that has
and not
been
because you
your
were disloyal to anybody.
Politics?
It's not a bane. For me, it has toughened me. I think that it has helped me. It has opened more doors. It has toughened me up. And like I'm saying, I have no vindictiveness in my heart. I've let go. I've moved on.
Okay.
And I take pride in the fact that...
How do you relax?
How do I relax?
Oh, in the fact that, sorry, you take pride in the fact that you're going to say something.
I take pride in the fact that I served a president whose only intention was to serve his country well. And I was part of that inner sect that helped him serve.
How do you relax?
Subsequently, I also take pride in the fact that I'm serving the NDC in various capacities. And I hope to do so in more capacities. How do I relax?
Yes. What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? When Arsenal wins or House of Folk wins.
Oh, you love Arsenal. Okay, then that makes two of us. But yesterday someone was telling me, a human being loves Arsenal. Who does that? And I'm like, Gypsy does that.
So let's say that between you and I, we are queer human beings.
Oh yeah, well, maybe.
No, but beyond that, I take a lot of inspiration from praise and worship.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's where I draw my spirituality from. I find the Bible, I can't read the hard text that much, but from worship, praise and worship songs, I draw my spirituality and I relate to my God in that way. And He's the only pillar of strength that I have. And of course, the universe belongs to Him, you know. But I consider myself to be a Daniel, you know. And I think that for me, my duty is to serve. And even in servitude. So
praises and worship, that happens only once a week on Sundays,
No.
right?
I have my moments.
What do you do?
I have my moments.
You sing or you listen to music?
I listen to music.
Okay.
And I get in tune with nature.
So you
and
sit
I walk
somewhere
I walk a lot. I walk, especially in the weekends, in the mornings. I walk alone. I love to walk alone. And it's in those moments also that I get in tune with myself and with my God. And that's where I draw my inspiration from. But hey, politics is my life for now, and
politics
I enjoy
is
it.
Your life. You enjoy politics.
And I enjoy the media, especially when people come in to come and interview, and it's like, today, Akwawe, we're going to finish him. They walk out of the interview and they're like, phew, We tried everything, but we couldn't finish him.
Is that so?
I hope you're not feeling that way.
No, not at all. I come into an interview with an open mind.
Good.
With anything, where anything is
Good.
possible. But thank
Good.
you so much.
Good.
It's been interesting having this conversation with you. I'm hoping to hear your next bombshell. The next.
No, I don't drop bombs. I don't drop bombs. I just let it go
as it is.
As it was. But then again,
well.
I know the media so much but that's my weapon. There are some stations that will call me 5 minutes to the bulletin. I look at my phone and I just laugh. I say, it's a booby trap. I won't answer it.
I see.
Why call me 5 minutes to the bulletin? You go to your editorial start your editorial about 10 o'clock in the morning. Unless it's a breaking news. You're calling me at 10 minutes to 5 minutes to midday. Why should I speak?
Have you enjoyed that interview?
And there are some stations also, I don't do recorded interviews. Because you do a recorded interview, they will go and cut a set, only 1 second, 10 seconds, and use it for mischief. And one of them is one of your affiliates, Adum FM, Efia Pukwa. So I don't grant recorded interviews to Adum FM. I want it live. Let everybody hear me speak live.
Have you enjoyed that conversation?
Wonderful. It's been splendid. I've enjoyed every bit of it.
Thank you very much.
No malice, no mischief. I'm happy. God bless you.
We're professionals.
You get many more interviews from me.
At Multimedia, we're professionals.
But NDC, I will invite you to the inauguration in 2021.
I wish you all the best with that. Thank you so much.
God bless you.
Having a conversation with Samuel Koku Anyidoho. It's been an interesting conversation, and I hope that you enjoyed it. That's it. Yeah, Mkofi.
Mkofi.